The lunge is a key movement that you want to work on every week. Now it's so important to develop ankle flexibility, strength, mobility through the knees, the connective tissues in the knees, the front glute, hamstring, the back, hip flexor, quad, and to be able to get a nice vertical torso and get down nice and deep. Now this takes time to develop, so you've got to develop that range of motion, flexibility and strength in all of those tissues throughout that full chain. So my recommendation is to train it heavy once a week. So in your training sessions, you want to have it as a devoted movement. You could do it twice a week, but at least once a week. And then daily it would be something, if you don't have that range of motion, it's something that you want to work on. Whether that's just getting more quad flexibility, getting a deeper squat position, getting better ankle mobility, but it's something that you want to continuously work towards improving, and even once you've got it, you want to maintain it. So there's lots of different types of lunges that you can use in your conditioning, but my recommendation for everyone, and including myself, I do all different types, and I've used so many different types of lunges over the years, but predominantly just for efficiency and for getting good range of motion as well as maintaining it, I just use a straight split squat, just get as deep as I can, load it up and get right down deep there, really open up those hips, get down in the ankle, the knee, and drive out of that position. And that gives me a lot more value than doing all the different multi-directional ones. It's not to say they don't have value for athletic conditioning, but if I had to choose, and I do, I would choose just doing the straight split squat and getting really strong and getting really deep in it. And with saying that though, the other ones do have value and they are good if you do need them for a specific sport adaptation, or if you just want some variety, and if you've developed good range of motion as your foundation. So I want to see videos of everyone's split squat before they progress to the other variations and getting quite deep. Now, in terms of loading, you want to be able to get up to at least 3/4 of your body weight with it, if not full body weight, in that position for 3 to 5 reps. Ideally even more and get even stronger, but you're going to have pretty good leg strength and flexibility if you can get down there with your body weight loaded on top of you on a barbell. You could hold it with dumbbells, it is quite hard on a grip. But you know, that's more than doable, or you could have someone of your own weight on your shoulders as well, which is a much cheaper version. But in saying that, if you don't have any weights and you just want to get started and you don't have that range of motion, just using body weight with these is sufficient and it really works well. So let's take a look. So when you come down, you want to make sure that knee's tracking nicely, and that knee's going to go forward. Now a lot of people will coach it like that and then just come up, but it's really quite limited. It's like doing half a push-up or half a pull-up. So you want to come right down and keep traveling forward. Now at the beginning, if you've got really tight ankles, you're probably going to lift that front heel and come up. And that's okay, as long as you're working on those ankles to gradually improve them and doing all the calf raise work, bent leg, straight leg, doing the tib anterior work, that will improve. And if you have major challenges there, the voodoo flossing on the ankles daily works really well, and just those deep stretches and holding that deep position. So when you come down, ideally that heel stays down at the beginning. If it comes off, that's okay. And you're trying to get that knee right over and get that butt right down to the heel, like that, on the hamstring onto the calf. In the back leg, you really want to try and straighten that out, open up that hip flexor and not bend forward. So it's a lot easier in the back leg if I do that. If I come like that, I'm going to get a really strong stretcher and develop strength there. And then as I push up, I want to feel both legs working. Now, when you train it, I'll usually, with clients that are only training a couple of times a week, they'll work the first upper body session and combine it with the legs. Once people are training 2 to 3 times or more, then I'll do split programs, upper body and lower body. But if you're doing whole body, I'll do a pull-up, then I'll go into a left leg lunge, then I'll go into an overhead press, then I'll go into a right leg lunge. And the reason being is to have that rest in between legs. Now if you're just doing legs by itself, then you can either use that rest period to stretch or just chill out and just rest, so that way you can really focus on that next set. But you want to make sure that you're getting equal rest for both legs. Because if I'm working this leg here and I'm doing left leg forward, which I always do first, so it's easy to remember which one I've done, I'm still working that back leg quite heavily. Both legs are really working. And if I go straight into that second side, I'm always going to shortchange that second side. So I want an equal amount of rest. So using a timer 30 on, 30 off for both sides. So 30 seconds left leg forward, 30 rest, 30 right. And I use that for the pull-up and the overhead press in between as well in the classes. And group sessions just makes really good, efficient use of the time. So here, coming down, pausing in the body, and then driving up. Now in 30 seconds it's going to be pretty hard to get 12 reps if you're doing a higher rep scheme, but usually 3 to 10 works really well for most people. Some people 12 is pretty good, and that's a pretty heavy workout if you're doing 12 pull-ups, 12 left leg forward, 12 overhead presses about half body weight, and then 12 right leg. Pretty nasty, and then if you're adding, once you start adding weight to it, it just gets accumulative and it's very heavy on the body. But in saying that, if you are going to develop yourself and you are looking to progress faster and you have the time, then split upper body, lower body splits work a lot better for a conditioning response, just because you can train them a lot heavier. There's no way that I could lift as heavy with my legs if I'm maxing out on pull-ups and overhead presses, even though they're upper body. Just the overall fatigue in the system makes it so much heavier. So much so that when I train, I usually use a 3-minute round. So I'll do 30 seconds worth on the left leg. Then I won't go until the 1.5 minutes. So I get 2 30-second breaks. Then I'll do the right leg forward when I'm training by myself. Just allows me to lift a lot heavier and push myself a lot more. Sometimes I'm short on time and I know I've got a client coming and I've just got caught up doing other stuff and I just want to get the workout in, so I'll do 4 sets, 8 minutes, 2-minute rounds, just get it done, and that's a lot faster than doing, say, 4 or 5 sets on a 3-minute round, which is 12 to 15 minutes. So it costs you a lot more. Now, if you have that down and you're looking to progress some other versions, the simple progression on it, once you've got that down, is the step back lunge. So you're stepping back into it and then coming right down. Now the beauty with stepping back is that if you did alternate, you can do both sides, evenly condition them, and then have that rest and then just work them both together. So that works quite well. When you're stepping back, really want to try and get as deep anyway, so right down deep, and use that range of motion that you developed from the split squat. Same goes for the step forward. So stepping forward, coming right down into there, stretching right out, stretching that ankle out, and then driving it up. And it's a bit heavy because you've got to bring your whole body up rather than just to here. You've got to push right back to there. So it is a lot heavier on those quads, which is quite good. And that's really good for sports conditioning as well, to just give you that conditioning past that split squat when you're just static. Then you can integrate some lateral work, so a lateral lunge, and coming down. If you're doing multi-directional, so you might go front, left, right, and then left, right on the side. So I like when I'm doing a lateral lunge to really go down deep, just like I would in the front, try and get that butt right down to the heel, condition that adductor and stretch that right out, and then push up. And that's quite heavy. You might do on another day though, if you're doing those, or doing them as a second workout. So you do the lunge workout, split squat, a really good one to develop, which is like a lateral squat really, like this leg's more like a squat. You are conditioning that adductor, is to just weight shift down, come right down into that position, stretch out that adductor, and then press it up. And I use those in the warm-up every day, so people are conditioning them. And they are really good for conditioning the side splits if you come right down and get into deep into the adductor. So you might do even alternating reps. So you're going to equal rest, or do one side, rest, and do the other side. Now another type of lunge is the 45-degree lunge. So going forward or going back. And this is going to challenge the body to work through that diagonal pattern and then driving up. So it's a lot heavier, especially just for the connective tissue. So if you're used to doing just straight lunges, when you do these, it's really important to back off. Don't go heavy if you're loading them just to the front. When you first do these, definitely don't add any weight, because it is a lot trickier on the joints because of that angular movement. So a simple routine would be, if you're aiming to improve that multi-directional strength, you could just do the sagittal plane to the frontal plane, nice and deep, transverse. So here, pivot down, and out. So that's getting those 3 dimensions in it. And then if you want to make that even harder, you go to the front. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with a pivot, and 8. Like that. Then you can even add in 9. So now I'm loading backwards. 10, 11, 12. So that's quite heavy, and you're getting that stimulus in the joint in all different directions. So it's great for sports performance. But in saying that, like I said before, develop the straight ones first. Get really strong there. Add load to it. Build those up. Then you can come back to these more dynamic versions and use them in multi-directions. Now, I used to do these a lot more and load these up a lot heavier. Now I'm just focusing on getting heavier with the simpler version and just going deeper and deeper and deeper, so I get the maximum benefit for the time that I put in to my training. It makes it a lot more focused. Maintaining that nice deep lunge, really strong, lets me keep my front splits without even training it, so that's especially for the back leg. And then when I deadlift, I do really straight leg deadlifts, but nice full range of motion there, so the front leg and the front split is sorted as well, so I don't even have to train it. I just do my strength training and it looks after all of that. I've been training 25 years, long time, conditioning my body, or even longer, since I was 16. So a lot of it comes down to not, I pushed my body to very high levels in the past, so it comes down to not how far I want to go now, but how much do I want to maintain and keep, because it's not about going as far as I've been in the past, like as strong or lifting as heavy, but it's maintaining a good level of strength, mobility, control in my body for the rest of my life, and training in that way, really looking after my body and making sure I feel good in my body and being efficient with it, because I've got a son, I've got a wife, I've got a business, I've got clients, I've got all these other commitments. So when you're younger, you can just put all of your energy into yourself and be like that, but then as you get older, you've got to put energy into lots of different things, so you want to be efficient and effective with your training. So multi-directional lunges are great for sports performance, but if you want to maximize the use of time, then you might just keep them really simple. Different tools you can use for a lunge, so whether you're using a barbell, once you've progressed a bit more, but just basic dumbbells are great, and just loading it evenly. So that way you're coming down, just using that load to assist you in the stretch as well as get you stronger. Pushing up out of that, you can rack it in the front. If you like, you can add the overhead position, like an overhead squat type deal, or front rack, or load it overhead. Doing that, these are all going to be a lot heavier, a lot harder to maintain that strength through the chain, so you won't be able to go heavier with load because of the complexity of it lifting overhead. As an example, so from here, press it up and maintaining that. I've got to really feel everything through the chain as I'm doing it. Now with dumbbells, you could use them in some dynamic versions. So if you're doing the step ones, just chopping. All of these ones are quite cool. Makes it a bit more interesting, more dynamic. Again, once you've developed those base versions, then using bands or using cables so you can get a nice chopping action. So with your weight shifting like this, or with your rotating, stepping, quite cool with a cable, it's great. So it's really up to your imagination. But again, just get the basics down first. Some key challenges that people have with lunges are mostly to do with the hips and the pelvis and getting strength and stability there. So getting that full range of motion is really important. But an often overlooked problem is that toe in the back leg. So just having that adequate range to come down. So that first metatarsal phalangeal joint, getting that full 90-degree angle there. Really important so you keep the ball of the foot pushed into the ground. Without that range, people will tend to turn their foot out as they go into the lunge, and that's going to develop that bunion there. So really important to look after that. So if you don't have that, just being really strict with it is a great way to mobilize it. You can also do just isolated stretches for when you're doing the calf raises, making sure your toes aren't turned out, that you're keeping your feet square when you're coming up to mobilize the toes so you keep it a nice position, as well as the ankle. The ankle and the calf's tight, then obviously it's going to put even more pressure on the toe. If you've got more ankle range of motion in that back foot, that's going to allow you to keep that ball of the foot pressed firmly into the ground. So get into those, get the basic split squat into me first. So I want to see those reps from the side and from the front. That way I can get an idea of what's going on in all the tissues and what you need to focus on a bit more and how to coach you. So it's good to see 3 reps from the front each leg, 3 reps from the side each leg, and nice and deep, going as deep as you can. And if you've got that, once you've got that down, just body weight, then we can work on adding weight, but I want to see those body weight versions first. And then you can get into all the different variations once you've got that down. But that in itself is a long road. Like I've got clients that are still working on it, putting everything into it. Everything else comes easy, all the different multi-directional ones, once you've got that foundational one right. So it's important to take care of that. Get into it. See you soon.